Hello everyone, welcome to Nerea channel. This week I'm going to do a video of questions and answers. So I'm very thankful for all your questions. I got a total of 123 questions, so I'm very happy. For some of the questions you asked me, I already made some videos about helping with those things. For example, how to stretch with a balance ball. You can find it in this video. I made a video with the balance ball, some stretches and exercises. But if you think that you would like more, maybe write it in the comments and I will try to make another video about that. Then tips for aura variation, that was my last video, you can find it here. I made an easier version of that variation, so I hope that helps. If not, maybe I can do another video. How not to get nervous on stage, you can find it here. And yeah, I made a video about that with all my tips, and I hope that video helps you. If not, I will try to make another video as well. And tips for pirouettes. I made a video with Yamakai actually about pirouettes and the positions. It was like almost like half an hour video. So I think we gave many tips for pirouettes. If you want me to do a video for a specific kind of pirouette, like from 5th, from 4th, I can do that. So just let me know in the comments. So these are all your questions and I have more. So what I decided to do is make separate videos for some of your questions because my answer would be too long to fit all the questions and all the answers in one video. So I decided to do a video about diet tips, how to stay healthy, healthcare, if I care what I eat, and all of those questions will be in another separate video. Also the morning and night routine and my schedule routine, that's another video I'm planning on doing. If I get negative emotions and how to deal with them, that's gonna be another video. Which clothes brands do I wear, that's another video. How to learn English well, another one. If there's a big difference between US and Russian ballet, how to recover when you are tired, how to choose the right shoes, fitting. I'm planning on doing a video for you to know how to buy proper pointe shoes for you. So tips for fittings as well, that's another video. How to do split to the side, which muscles to stretch, how to do a great arabesque, how to spot in the turns, cool down routine, stretch after training, stretching and muscle training I do every day, that's another video. My day of routine, how to stretch the toes, how to train the abductor muscles, tips for Gamsari variation, how to train muscles for turnout, quick stretch routine before class, how to not to make noise when you land from jumps, and how to teach beginners to turn out without any injuries. So all of those questions you made me, I didn't forget about those. In fact, I'm planning on doing separate videos about them to explain deeply and to take my time to really focus on all of this because I think they are very important. Today's video I'm going to just do a quick mix of all your questions I got other than those. So let's start. So the questions I got, some of them were more related to my personal life and other questions were more related to ballet in my career. So I mixed them both and this is the result. I hope it's interesting for you to know me better. And yeah, let's start with the first question, which is one of the questions that they ask me the most. Who translates my videos? Is it Google? Is it Yamakai? Do I know fluent Japanese? So the answer to that question is I do use Google Translator because I know some Japanese, but of course I'm not fluent. And Yamakai doesn't have the time to translate all my videos because he has to translate and work on his own videos. So yes, what I do is I spend a lot of time translating my videos and making sure that the translation is accurate and once my video is done, I show it to Yamakai and he checks if it's correct or not. So I'm never gonna post a video if someone who speaks Japanese doesn't double check, right? Sometimes I know that I made mistakes. I'm not perfect. I try to do my best. I'm still learning Japanese, so hopefully in the future I won't need any help at all. That's my goal. So yeah, a Google Translator plus me and Yamakai. So that's our team. About languages, another question was, how many languages do I speak? My main language is Spanish and Basque. Then I know English, and then I know Russian. Those are the languages that I can speak fluently. Yeah, I speak 4 fluent languages, and some of them I can kind of understand, like French, Italian, Portuguese, some Polish because it's related to Russian, but not so much. And Japanese, so I would say no, I'm not fluent in Japanese, so just a tiny bit of Japanese. Another question was how long it took me to learn Russian. So before I went to Russia to study, I didn't know any Russian. First year, I couldn't understand anything. Second year, I could understand, but I couldn't speak fluently. The third year, I could already understand and speak, but not as a completely fluent person. In my 4th year, I was completely fluent, and actually I took the first and the second test of Russian. So the second test is very hard, and actually I could go into a Russian university to study after taking the second test. So yeah, I got very high grades. Now of course it's getting a little worse because I'm speaking every day, but yeah, I hope not to forget it. So it took me about 4 years to learn Russian. How do I learn Japanese? That's another question. So yeah, it's a working process. So what I do, I watch YouTube videos to learn Japanese. I have an app on my phone, and I learn how to write, and I learned hiragana. I can read hiragana. So yeah, it's a working process. So with YouTube videos, with the apps, then Yamakai sometimes teaches me. Most of my Japanese, I learned it when I was in Russia because most of my friends were Japanese. So I learned my first words, and now I can kind of still keep learning, and based on those words I can talk a little bit. So first and favorite Japanese word, so that's another question. My first word, everyone hears konnichiwa and sayonara in the TV, on TV shows, right? But I would say my Japanese friends, whenever we go to the ballet room, it was always or very cold or very hot, so they would always say like atsui or samui, so like it was every day. So I got interested, like what is it, like samui or samu? And then they told me it actually means like it's very cold. So yeah, I think samui probably was my first Japanese word. Could be, like maybe not, but that was one of the first words that I learned. And my favorite Japanese word, I think Japanese is a very beautiful language and I like many of the words. Maybe if I had to pick one, what would it be? I think utsukushi. I think it's a very interesting word, means beautiful. Kawaii as well, I really like it. Yeah, so maybe those. Where does my name come from? So this is actually a good question. My name, Nerea, it comes from the Basque language, which is not Spanish. And if you translate Nerea to Spanish, means mine. So my name means mine. Yeah. So all those questions were related to language section. Let's move on to the next section. If I wasn't a ballerina, what would be my job, or what would I choose to be? I think I always like to teach, so probably I would be a teacher. Not sure if in a school or if it would be teaching something else, but definitely maybe teaching. Next question, what would I do without internet? So this question was, if I didn't have a phone or internet, what would I do? And I think sometimes happens to me that my phone is not working. So what I usually do is either go for a walk, if it's sunny and I like to breathe, or relax. When did I start ballet? So this is also a very common and famous question. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, baby ballerina. And I didn't, of course, at the age of 3 you cannot really practice ballet, but I was doing some Basque national dances, and after that my mom took me to ballet lessons. So why I started dancing was because my mom used to do ballet as a hobby when she was young. So she saw me always dancing around, and so she decided to bring me to those Basque ballet dances. And after that, she decided to move me to ballet. And then after that, I decided my own that that's what I wanted to do. So the question was, when I started ballet, I would say when I was 3, I started dancing. And when I was around maybe 9 or 10, I decided to be professional. Yes. Why did I decide to become a professional dancer? So it wasn't a very easy decision. One of the reasons why I decided to become a professional dancer is because of my Russian teacher at home. She was very supportive of me, and I would always be grateful to her because she told me that I could become a dancer. She was the one who believed in me the first, and she told me that I couldn't stay at home because we didn't have any serious professional ballet schools. So she was the one encouraging me to leave. So once I decided to make that step, I thought to myself, if I don't feel good or something happens, I would go back home. So I took it as a test and a challenge. I really like challenges. That's also one of the reasons why I decided to become a professional, because if someone tells me like you cannot do that, I try to really do it, even though if it's like, oh, you cannot, cook this, or you cannot do that. So I try to prove myself that I can do that. So one of the reasons why I decided to become a ballerina is because, first of all, I loved it and I'm very passionate about it, but also because I like challenges. Next question, when did I leave my home? So when I was 13, I moved to Madrid. From the north of Spain, I moved to the middle of Spain, from Bilbao to Madrid. So I was 13 when I left my hometown. After 1 year, when I was 14, I moved to Russia. So that's the answer. When I was 13, I left home and I went to Russia when I was 14. Where do I work now? So I'm in America. I'm in New Jersey this year. And this is my second season being in New Jersey. The year before that, I was in New York. And who knows what's the future? I work in a US company. Another question, besides America, was there any other country that I wanted to work? So when I left Russia, was there any other country that I wanted to go? I definitely tried dancing in Europe, but I think I would have more chances in America, and they would have different companies, and I thought that maybe trying to change and I would get more experiences. Like I had already had the Russian training, so I thought maybe if I tried to go to America and find maybe a slightly different style, I could become a more complete dancer. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I decided to try America. And next question, I think it's very hard for me to answer this question because it's very personal, but I think it's very important for me to answer to this question because I think I'm not the only one. I'm not the only dancer with this problem, and I want to encourage all of you to keep working. So the question is it harder to become a ballerina if you are not tall enough, and how tall I am? So I am 155 centimeters. That's not tall, that's actually very short, and one of the reasons why it was very hard for me to become a dancer was because many people have told me like you are not gonna make it because you are short and dancers have to be certain height. Of course it's hard, and especially when people don't give you hope, it's very hard, and sometimes you wonder if it's the right thing for you to really do this, if it's going to maybe not be worth it. But I encourage all of you to keep working. If you are really passionate about it, you can do anything. And of course it's going to be very, very challenging, but you know what? It's better to be short and try to do your best and try to be, because at the end of the day you have to be better than the taller dancers, because you have to be either soloist or principal dancer. In most of the companies you cannot be in the core if you're very short because you cannot fit in, so you have to work extra hard to find a job. Is it harder to become a ballerina if you're not tall enough? Yes and no. So if you work hard enough, you can do anything and you can find a job just as I did, right? But don't just think, oh, because I'm short, I'm never gonna find a job. That's not right. That's just an excuse. So I would encourage you to keep working hard and be passionate with what you do, either ballet or either any other profession. Don't let them see that you are not confident enough because you think that you are short, right? Every time you have a performance or an exam, even though you might hear bad comments, oh, she's too short, or yeah, she's not, like, I don't like it, or she's never gonna make it. Just try to forget about all those comments and just do what you like, do what you love, do what inspires you. Then, when is my birthday? Another question. My birthday is the 12th of October. It's my favorite country, and where do I want to visit next? So my favorite country, of course my hometown, the Basque Country, I think is very rich because you have mountains, you have beach, you have many things in one little tiny country. But I definitely want to explore more Japan. I've been to many Japanese cities, but I really want to go to Kyoto and maybe any other cities in Japan. Favorite ballet variation that I did. So I think Aurora variation is a very special variation for me because it was one of my biggest performances at the Prix de Lausanne, and I think that variation will always stay in my heart, so I think that would be my favorite variation. Another question from the Prix de Lausanne that I got a lot is about the floor, the raked floor, if it was hard for me to dance in the raked Lausanne's floor. So the answer for that is it wasn't as hard as maybe it was for other dancers, because in Moscow, in the Bolshoi Ballet Academy, our floors are already raked, all of the studios are raked, the stage is raked. So I was already used to it, but it's always a challenge. Even though I practiced every day in the raked floor, it's always a challenge to dance on it. Most difficult pas de deux. So I think the most difficult pas de deux that I've tried, it would be the Rossini pas de deux. It's a rare pas de deux, it's not a very common pas de deux that Yamakai and I actually tried to do it. We watched the video with Osipova and Ivan Vasiliev, so it seems very cute and it seems very like easy, but it's not. I think that's one of the hardest pas de deux that I've tried to do. What do I think about Tetsuya Kumakawa? So I first heard of him when one of my friends from the Bolshoi Ballet Academy did a work on him, and I became interested in his work. I think he's definitely a very powerful dancer. He has amazing skills, of course, and his acting skills are very good. So I think he's one of the most important Japanese dancers, and so he's like an icon, right? A ballet star. Another question, my favorite ballet dancer? So I have so many. I think all the ballet dancers as Tetsuya Kumakawa, they are unique in their own way, so you cannot say, oh, I like just these two ballerinas, right? I think you have to learn from all of them, because each one maybe doesn't have this tension on that, or doesn't turn as much, or only has tension and she cannot turn. So I think from each dancer you can always learn something. Right now, from the Russian ballerinas, I would say Ekaterina Krisanova from the Bolshoi. I would say Victoria Tereshkina from the Mariinsky. Of course, Yevgenia Bratsova, she's one of my all-time favorites. Natalia Osipova as well, one of my huge inspirations. Oleisa Novikova. And from Europe and America, I would say Marianela Núñez is one of the best dancers right now. I would say Hiseo, the Korean ballerina from ABT. Sarah Lane from ABT as well. And maybe if I had to name another dancer, it would be Maya Makateli from Dutch National Ballet. So those are my top ballerinas. Another question I got is, can you get more flexible over the years? So if you're not born flexible, is it possible for you to become flexible? So I think actually with the age, you think about stretching and think about ballet differently. You start training smarter. So I think it is possible to become more flexible if you are constant. So if, for example, when you were young, you could just lay on a split and maybe get it and then don't do it for a week and then you could still do it. When you are older, that it's harder, which doesn't mean impossible. So if you practice every day, eventually I think you can make it. Just you have to be constant, because your muscles are older and they are harder. So I think it's possible, but just try to be constant. Another question I got, if you are an adult, can you wear pointe shoes? And right, if you're not a professional dancer. So I think you could, but we would have to be with a professional teacher or a professional dancer helping you, because the last thing you want is to get injured. So I think it's possible if you practice it carefully and with someone supervising your work. Last question, which is tips to continue doing ballet every day, how to stay motivated. I think I'm going to do a separate video about this, because I think it's very important. It's one of the maybe main things to think about whether you're a ballet dancer or anything in life. So what I think, what keeps me motivated, it's actually sharing my passion and sharing my love of dance with others. Not as much, of course I have joy when I perform, right? And it's also for me that I perform, but it's mostly for all the people who likes me performing or likes to watch me performing. So one of the most powerful things to stay focused is thinking that you are doing it for someone else, that maybe if you need, take time off, maybe take 1 month off, maybe take 2 months off, and see if you really want to keep doing this, if it's worth it or not for you. So it depends on each person. The most important thing is health, and that you are happy and that you are healthy. So ballet is very important, ballet is wonderful, but if you're not happy or healthy, I think it's not worth it. So you have to really consider that. My tip would be to think that you are sharing your love of dance with other people. So it's not only about you, but you're actually, people want to see you dance, so you have to also do it for them. So yes, those were all the answers and questions. Hopefully this video was interesting for you. I know you asked me for so many questions that I promise I would answer to all of them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for watching Nerea San channel. As always, more questions, more suggestions are welcomed. So just feel free to keep writing questions in that post. Maybe I will make another video about it. Don't forget to subscribe and like my video. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you next week.